That's right, everyone, we're back, and just in time for all the year-end lists. In this video, I'm going to be going over just some of the most significant pickups I made this year. I just went through all the games that I had picked up this year and chose the ones that stood out to me the most or were the most exciting, or maybe they just kind of like highlight a bigger trend in pickups this year. Some were omitted because I want to talk about them in some of the other videos we're going to do, and I don't want to talk about them a bunch in a row, so I left them out of this one. Let me know down in the comments what are your guys' top pickups of this year. Let's get right into it, starting with the new consoles I got this year. First console I got was the Colecovision. I got this console through kind of a series of unfortunate events, but what was left were a bunch of ColecoVisions and Ataris that I said I would deal with. I tested it. I don't have the ColecoVision like set up in my actual setup. I try to keep most things set up there, like most consoles I can easily access. The ColecoVision got banished. I mean, I banished the 2600 even like last year from it to make space, so it wouldn't really make sense to have the ColecoVision but not the 2600. I feel like that seems like sacrilegious. In my testings of the ColecoVision, it did surprise me, especially with how it looked. I say that and the games look like a couple colors on a screen. I was expecting an Atari 2600 level of graphic quality, and I got at least an Atari 2601 level of graphic quality, so that's something for sure. And honestly, the games, including Donkey Kong Jr., which also is kind of funny that it was on the console. Like, I feel like it's too late in Nintendo's history to have been on the console. I mean, I don't know the order these things actually came out. For all I know, Donkey Kong Jr. is before Mario Bros. It probably is, now that I say that. And obviously Mario Bros. Was also on the 2600. You get what I'm saying, though. It's like Yoshi's Island isn't on the Atari 2600, so I'm surprised Donkey Kong Jr. is. It's a pretty good port, and a lot of the games I tested on the 2600 were fun. There were obviously some flops. I think there was like the Smurfs is one of the games I got in the big box. Not that fun. Don't seek that one out. I'm probably not going to seek out any games for this, to be honest, unless I get really bored. I might. Yeah, honestly, I probably will at some point. There's some 2600 games I've seeked out. But yeah, overall, it did surprise me with how nice it looked, and it's fun enough. I'd say the controller is the biggest issue, because it's kind of got that like 5200, 7800 thing going on, where it's like half a TV remote, and also there's like weird things on the side, and the joystick, they just didn't figure out how joysticks are supposed to work. I mean, the 2600 joystick was nice, though. But yeah, ColecoVision, one of the new consoles I got this year. Next up is, I'd say, another obscure oldie, and that is, of course, the Nintendo Switch 2. Obviously, I'm joking. And I'm sure Andy and I will speak more about our feelings on the Switch 2 in future videos. What I will say here is that I have played it a lot. It definitely feels nicer than the original Switch. It's definitely like a quality of life upgrade for sure. The screen looks nice. The Joy-Cons are better. They still like click though. You know how like in, I forget what the term for it is, but in like racing games, like you can control how hard you're pushing the triggers. You can't do that with this. It's not shocking in the sense that every Nintendo console's done that, but I was hoping they would switch it, because the whole thing with the Switch 2 is like, they would switch it. That wasn't even on purpose. But the whole thing with the Switch 2 is it's like just a more luxurious Switch, basically, and they still have these like little clicky things. If you can't tell, also, I'm kind of struggling to think of things to say. Like I said, I have played this a ton, but it's just kind of replaced my original Switch, because that's really what it is. It's just another Switch. The exclusives for it, Andy and I will definitely be talking about more in future videos, so I won't go beyond saying I do like them. And yeah, I'm glad I picked it up, but I would say if you're still having fun with your Switch, there's no rush to get this. I'm sure there will be eventually some cool exclusives, but so far they're all pretty much what you'd expect. I do like them though, all that being said, and I do play the console a lot. If you would get a Switch 2 and haven't yet, for some extraneous reason, get it. But if you're on the fence, stay on the fence. I would say, like, there's no rush to get the Switch 2, to be honest. Next up, the final console I picked up this year, and a gloriously tiny one, the PC Engine, which is the TurboGrafx 16 in Japan. Will I get the CD version of it? Maybe. I don't know. But honestly, so far, I really like this thing. I had already experimented with the TurboGrafx, PC Engine, whatever, library independently before I had this, just on emulators and whatnot. And yeah, I will say it's a very interesting piece of hardware. Like I've already alluded to, it's small. It's very small. It's smaller than like an SNES Mini. I know this is just this specific model, and they are a bunch of different models, so your size may vary, but the one I got is tiny. I probably would not have seeked out this console, but it just kind of appeared in front of me. I didn't get this one for free though. I did buy it. It was definitely on my list of like things to keep an eye out for, and my eyes found it. It definitely has that like kind of in between generations feel, which is interesting because not a lot of the other consoles I've gotten have that going for them. I mean, maybe the Colecovision, honestly, kind of. I don't know when it came out, if that makes sense. But yeah, this one definitely has that feeling of being like a 8.5-bit, no, a 12-bit? Yeah, a 12-bit machine. The colors really pop in this. They're really pretty and nice to look at. The game that's currently in it is Baranuba, which is like a kind of like an early attempt at a twin stick shooter, where it's not actually twin sticks. You're just kind of like moving your aiming around with different buttons, like you rotate it. But it's a similar idea of like you move your ship and you also move where you're aiming. I haven't got very far in it, but it is fun. I like its design, and I do pretty frequently like turn it on and just do a run through it until I die. So yeah, a good game. I love the Hue cards or whatever. Also, they're like little chips. They're little credit cards. They seem very edible. Do you understand? Is that an insane thing to say? Probably. Don't eat them. But they're fun. They come in CD jewel cases, basically. This is a system I've determined I'll be going CIB for the most part. Also, they seem very kind of fragile. I don't really trust them. So it's kind of probably better to have a case. Some other collection highlights are the random Mahjong game that was in it when I got it. I don't know what it's called or still how to play Mahjong, but it kind of seems like solitaire or something. Bonk 2, which I've played all the way through Bonk 3 on an emulation device. I haven't played Bonk 2 yet, but I know it's a well-liked addition to the series. And Bonk. Okay, sorry. Bonk's got charm. Bark. Bonk has got gusto. Bonk's got that X factor, and I like how he kind of like flips around and floats. It's a nice feeling, very nice looking series. I suggest you check it out if you haven't. Definitely buy a PC Engine just to play it. You have to do it. All right, getting into the games. The first one is Rocket Robot on Wheels, and this is special. This is just so special because it was the first game I'd bought on Facebook Marketplace in a while. Facebook Marketplace was probably like the GOAT of the first 6 months of me like really going at game collecting. And then after that, you realize people aren't giving away like Mr. Mosquito on PS2 usually. And if they are selling it there, it's like the same price as it would be in a store, but you just have to drive to some random guy's house to get it instead. So what's the point? I found Rocket Robot on Wheels. I really want to say raccoon. Robot on Wheels on Facebook for a pretty good price. And yeah, it was a fun little adventure getting there and picking up this game, which is, just one of those quirky 3D platformers you'd really only see on the N64. And it has a fun colored cartridge. The N64 is also just in general one of my favorite consoles to play, to collect for, whatever, to look at. And yeah, this is one of a few games I managed to pick up for it this year because it does have a pretty limited library. Some other highlights including Rayman 2 and Hybrid Heaven. Next up is kind of a stand-in for all the wonderful indie games that I've bought this year, especially on the Switch, which I do want to find an excuse to talk about them more at length. I feel like when I do these videos, I try to talk a lot about indie games because the chances that Andy has played like Squirrel with a Gun or something is pretty low, and then we can't really talk about it. But here, this is my kingdom, where we talk about games like Rain World, which is a very cool, I haven't played it yet, of course, but a very cool indie like platformer, light RPG action game, survival game, something like that. Basically, I found this game when I was looking for games similar to Subnautica, in the sense of they have like a very vividly imagined like ecosystem with unique animals and whatnot. I think that's something very cool about Subnautica. And apparently this game does it too, where there's just like a bunch of, you're just surviving in like a world that seems much larger than yourself, with cool designs for the creatures that are well thought out. I'm excited to play it. It has a cool art style. Limited Run gets me with their ways. Although I don't usually buy it from the Limited Run website. I don't think I've actually ever bought anything from their website. but there is a game store near me that stocks them pretty regularly, so I check those out. All right, next up is all the Pokemon games I bought this year. I did grab all of them for this one, because this is more of like a concrete list of things and not as esoteric, even though I did just literally list off the N64 games I bought. I could have pretty easily just held up Rayman 2 and Hybrid Heaven, but I didn't. I bought a bunch of Pokemon games, as you can tell. I was going to say they're the expensive ones, but they're all the expensive ones. I mean, I guess, you know, Soul Silver is kind of the big one, which I'm sure I've seen these games in person before and just passed them up. Definitely Crystal, because I just specifically remember like pondering it. I don't know. I feel like I've never seen Soul Silver or Heart Gold complete in box, and definitely not Platinum. I found these two within like a week of each other, and then this one I got as a Black Friday deal, which, speaking of that, a lot of these I did get slightly discounted, not a ton. Like, I think I paid over $100 for all of them. Sorry. I don't know who I'm apologizing to. I guess myself. These are genuinely some of the coolest Pokemon games out there. Crystal's my favorite ever, even though I've never beat it. I've only beat Gold and Silver. I was kind of waiting to have this as an excuse to beat it, to be honest, or maybe I was waiting to beat it as an excuse to have this. That's probably closer to the truth, to be honest. But it has a sparkly cartridge, so you have to remember that. Yeah, I don't know. There's just something like uniquely kind of clunky about Gen 2 that I really love. The art style is just very nice, and it has Hoppip and Teddiursa. What more could you ask for? So that's Crystal. Soul Silver is also obviously Gen 2. I have like this memory of my friend in high school having a copy of Heart Gold that he didn't play. He was over Pokemon. I was too, because that stuff's for babies. I would like beg him for it, and he wouldn't sell it to me, even for $60. I was scamming him, and I knew I was trying to, but he didn't let me, and that sucks. And then Platinum, which I haven't liked Gen 4 because I've really only played like Diamond and Pearl, which just have so many like obvious issues. They're just kind of clunky games, but not in a cute way like Crystal, in just like a clunky, not fun way. But Platinum seems to fix all of those, and Infernape's one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, so I'm probably going to choose him. And also, another sparkly case. What do you know? So now really the only Pokemon game I have to buy is Emerald, because I only have Sapphire, and Emerald's different enough that I want it. I don't have like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but I will have Emerald and Sapphire. The last up for this video is Moon. I think I've somehow brought this game up before, but I didn't buy it until like a week or two ago. It's been like around for a while. I've seen this game up for sale, but I just, I don't know, I kept passing on it. But I really don't want to not have this game because it's a cool like experimental PS1 JRPG that had never been translated before, that randomly got translated on the Switch, which echoes one of my favorite games from last year, Rhapsody 2, which was like a musical JRPG. I talked about it a bunch, so go back and watch our old videos if you're curious about that. But I got this kind of in the same vein of like, maybe this is an old experiment that should have been brought over and is sick, and it seems like it. And it also kind of relies on this gimmick where you're like talking to the monsters in some way. It's not, I don't really know, to be honest, but it has something to do with like you're taking care of the monsters or seeing how they're doing or something, which seems like it probably inspired Undertale or something like that, which is another game I bought this year on the Switch physically. And I played that one already, and maybe I'll talk about it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a very cool, older, experimental game. This it like slipped out of my hands as I was lifting it up, and I just kind of was like trying to play it off, but it looks awkward. Cool PS1 JRPG that got translated to the Switch randomly and is experimental. Has been a good success story for me in the past, and I thought I'd give it another go. And I'm excited to talk about this game when I do play it. So yeah, like I said, thanks for watching. I didn't say that part yet. What I did say was, let me know what the most exciting game was that you picked up this year was, and stay gamey.